always make it through despite that as we get into pick and ban. Alvaro, stats are kind of crazy so far. The one I want to pull out is that this dude is like honestly on the board every single early game. In fact, KDA 4.9. That's a fun stat. Let's move into pick ban. Let's see if KC can bring us to all fivers. They simulated the ban before, or at least the draft, I should say. Wukong was one of the first picks on red side here as a response. Now taken off early by KC.
One of the things which I'm keeping my eye on is a lot of our lane dominant supports, AD carries rather, are gone. I think there is an angle for a misfortune for KC. Caliste already plays a lot of it. I wonder whether they'll set up a wombo comp.
The other thing I'm keeping my eye on is what happens with Gwen. Because the first pick Gwen opens up things like an AD mid, an Ivern that can come through in the jungle, and then like a double AD carry comp, like these sort of things that just become very difficult to play. So Gwen going to be taken off the board, but especially when you're starting to dig deep into those mid lane champion pools, AD champions become a lot more viable alongside the Orianna that you saw Odo in the draft immediately take off.
So one of those few taken off the board already as well, waiting for that last ban to come through. About 80 champions, or at least on-hit champions that Azir just not let up in this series so far.
Azir found us that last one. So another one of those blind pickable mid laners. This is the point where you start really figuring out, okay, what are your actual pick priorities later into the draft? A lot of your traditional quote-unquote OPs are done with. I did question whether there would be something like a wombo combo draft coming in for KC in a bit. Maokai, EU, really valuing this so far. It's helped set up for so much stuff.
Naafiri response could be there as well. He still looks at this, and Naafiri is a jungler to make it up here.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong pick and definitely something that you can look to try and play around.
You want AP solo laners though, don't you?
Well, actually, no, I think if you go towards it, you're fine, but going to prioritize the Lucian instead. So trying to get something like, well, we've seen a little bit of Lucian Nami in other regions, hasn't worked out quite so well, but still Lucian a very strong pick. But I think for MKOI, I like going towards the Naafiri if you can try and find something to play supportive on that mid lane towards it. Okay. What I do like about KC's draft though is getting that AP jungler still now gives you a lot of value in opening up for these AD mids. Yone's taken off the board, but something like a Tristana that can try and punish through that mid lane is also something you can go for, but you can leave that for that second rotation and still have the flexibility available in your draft.
With Lucian locks in, normally you would really like to go for something like a Zeri Lulu, but MKOI, they've banned away that Zeri, so they do go towards that misfortune. We did say, hey, maybe they go towards a wombo draft. Looks like they are going towards Maokai ult forwards. MF, Hwei, chucking down their big skill shots on top of that too, so which KC found some success with. You could go for the Nami right now and just say, right, good luck Lucian, Nami, good luck dealing with that in mid game.
Yeah, I think the problem for MKOI is that KC have kind of gone, okay, you've gone for Lucian, apart from the Culling, relatively short range. Naafiri needs to get into fights, so let's just go for range. So you've already got the Hwei who can deal damage from a very sizable distance, same with the Misfortune set up for the Maokai. So now it becomes a problem for MKOI to find ways to close the gap. Sion can help in some regard as he is unstoppable as he runs through, but I still think you need more engage for MKOI if you're going to try and avoid just KC keeping you at arm's length.
If I'm KOI, I love the fact that I am a Sion running into a Misfortune play. You know, like rotation of spells, also the fact that Misfortune can't constantly hit the same target because her passive falls off her love tap. So, I don't know, I feel like Myrwn being pretty smart with this.
Right, but on ban as well, because the Misfortune would very quickly run out of steam in those kind of fights as well. So I think it's helping out quite a bit. And there goes Anami. So now what do you like? Milio was something that we saw a little bit, but I really don't like. Milio can do anti Maokai, but I don't think it's the position for it.
I feel like you already have good engage coming through from the Sion, so if you can find a little bit extra elsewhere, it could open up for that and say, well, you're not going to get your best value ultimate because you can cleanse off that CC. They might keep it until last pick just so they can see what will win them the lane. Of course, Lucian with his passive changes with the Vigilance can go with hard CC supports, not just the Enchanters anymore.
Renata is also still open, so if they end up trying to open up with the bullet time, can go for the Renata lock in as well. So there's options here for MKOI. And then for KC, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually try and take something that's a little bit more carry focus for Canna, still on that top side, so you can try and push and get some advantage against the Sion.
Mickey's Tarek yesterday with the Caliste was unbelievable. Are we really going to get a Tarek?
Oh, blind picking Tarek is kind of risky though, because if you get range supported into it, that is a problem. Camille coming in for Canna is first one of the split, I believe.
Jax is gone. I'm thinking about all the hardest matchups for this Camille.
I mean, it's into the Sion, right? Unless...
Oh, yeah, sorry, you're right.
It's like... Now, we did get Giant X playing the Sion mid, so it could technically go Aurora top, but I don't think it's the end of the world either way. And Jojo, even as he came over from what was LCS and LTA, had a very, very large champion pool. So maybe there's a bit of tricky business going on for MKOI.
Middle support. Oh, don't do that to me. Gragas instead.
Okay, so the Gragas not going to be as lane dominant as something like that Fiddlesticks, but definitely a lot easier to play safely. You can also, you know, kind of blow people out of position as well as the Lucian tries to hide behind the Sion, or you can separate the Sion out away from his backline as well. Now, look, you have been given last pick, Karma, very lane dominant, and does give the shields towards that Lucian. Lane dominance from Alvaro, the champion who's played a fair bit in his career, looking to brutalize through that CB2 if at all possible.
The issue that I have for MKOI is just lack of engage.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Sion has that ult, but if that doesn't connect, kind of in a bit of a difficult spot. And sure, Aurora can slow people, but actually setting up some of these fights in the manner that you want to can be relatively tough as MKOI. At least having that Karmine building Shirelias will give you some of the speed up that you need to try and close that gap and slow people and give you a way into the fight. But as Nymaera was already saying, like, Gragas to separate out fights with the cast can make things very tough. The Maokai ultimate, I think KC just have a easier to execute all-round composition alongside good side lane threat with the Camille.
Yeah, I think KC, they have a very coherent identity where you have the Maokai and the Camille setting up for a big Hwei Misfortune combo. They really like playing that Misfortune. It's their most played AD carry so far, so it feels like it's comfort for them. On the other side, a lot of this comes down to the Sion. If the Sion hits the right targets, the ultimates, gets a good engage, that can maybe fix things for them, but it is a bit of a needle to thread, hard to find that engage.
Well, this whole series has been needles. This whole series has been like a needle in a haystack trying to find out the winning play, because it's been a little bit messy, but it's been very mechanical in a lot of these mid lane fights that we've had game and game again. KC came in as heavy favourites. They're the first seed, and for the reason that we saw them finish 8-1 in the split, have incredible games. 2-1 against G2, which was an exceptional series where they once again Hwei, their insane skills. This is a mechanical team. In this series, they've made mechanical errors, which KOI have come in and trumped over them. We were talking about it before. Supa and Alvaro are performing out of their right damn mind. I could go through the whole roster, but right now it just feels like, again, there are some big differences within these lanes.
But think about the statement MKOI would make. Pushing KC, the first seed coming into playoffs, the defending LEC champions, down into that lower bracket, and potentially landing themselves, if they can beat G2, a ticket to MSI. This would be a phenomenal start for MKOI into this playoffs, and one that has been well earned because they have played an absolutely insane series today.
And for those of you that didn't see yesterday in the pre-show, we actually have a giant golden ticket to hand the person who wins tomorrow as well. It's just a fun little thing. And, you know, given how close this is and how potentially we could have the lower seed winning both of our round one upper bracket matchups, that would come after a regular season which came right down to the wire. Yeah. Every single team within playoffs contention up until the very last stage, the very last weekend of the competition. I love to see the LEC so competitive.
When the stakes get high, it's crazy how MKOI just level up. I remember the same conversation around season finals last year. I remember the same conversation around winter playoffs as well, where they managed to make it all the way to the finals. Like, they're full of surprise, and that's the most exciting thing, is KC now trying to fight back, and feel like it'll start in this lane. We talked a little bit about it. We talked about this 2v2. It's not what Supa would like, I'm sure, but Alvaro, early on, good engages coming through from KC, as they're just trying to make their statement here in a lane that has been highly contested.
Barrier pop from Supa as well to just try and get an even better trade on off the back of that. So MKOI playing very heavily to try and get this level 1 push, and they will get it, but Summer's fell down.
Yeah, I think one of the things which really doesn't help that is the fact that Alvaro missed the mantra Q right at the start of that. I've got ourselves a pause first one of the day as well.
Oh, that's
a moment
nice.
To catch our breath a little.
It's okay, I'm sitting down anyway. I don't need to catch my breath. But first pause of the day, and we're 4 games deep. Not bad. Guess when Fnatic's not here, we don't really need to stop. So that makes a lot of sense. But we're going to find out what that is for you. It does look like maybe Vladi, question mark, has a bit of an issue there. What did you do, Dagda? Was it
what did you do?
What did I?
What did you do?
Did you do anything with the pause?
No. There's not that I know of.
That's exactly what someone who'd done something would have said.
Well, we'll have to see exactly what what's happening, but I just want to say, like, I think the as we start to come through into the early stages, I think a lot of MKOI's chances of getting to a position where they can play out the game is by using, hey, we've got a ton of a push on bot side, let's try and look for plays down there. Because you can see Aurora already, decent trades, trying to push in on mid, see if you can move her down into this bottom side and look for dives. Like, if you can get the plays onto Caliste and Targamas and you're just able to play through this incredibly strong Lucian, push someone completely out of the fight with the culling from the get-go, I think that's how MKOI can try and play it out. But if you start to be in a position where you're behind in the play and trying to contest space against the zone control that KC have, I think it'll be difficult.
Just looking back to see what happened, I think Jojo was saying, because he got the control of the first few waves and Vladi dropped a couple of CS, mid-CS bug in all chat. I was thinking, is that genuine? No, it's just, hey, I'm winning the first few waves and I'm going to let you know about it.
Which, to be fair, has been all of today, where Jojo, I think, has been winning a lot of the lane. We are resuming back in the game, so for whatever the bug was or whatever the issue was in the end, we've solved it. And no, to confirm, it wasn't Dagda. He didn't do anything, guys. Just leave him alone.
That you know of.
He's very yeah, okay. That we know of in
Why
this
did you
pause.
say that? You're out scot-free.
I just wanted to be a little ominous.
I mean, he was in scot-free as well, to be fair. So he exited the same way he entered us. In our match of the week, we return, and we return to a bit more dominance from the 2v2 lane that we were just chatting up a little bit there. Alvaro finally getting some levels, and that does mean Inspired is, you know, the E, not the player, is now up and available, I believe. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Again, this bot lane should have actually been doing a little better at that level 1, but the first mantra Q of the game, not getting it's on the body slam.
Good space, and with the heal as well, Targamas, not in too much trouble. He's going to get some damage reduction thanks to the W, but those summoners coming out for a big barrel of a trade.
Because what he ended up doing, using that heal to activate the Vigilance passive of the Lucian, get that even stronger double tap on the next couple of ultis.
The only lane doing that as well. Vladi just got chunked a bit and misses away from the W, but Jojo already, we saw, having a pretty good state of it as well.
Yeah, for those of you that like think, oh, why are they throwing out those summoners so easily? Hang on a second, this could be actually a bit of mission top side. I guess it'll be fine. But yeah, popping the barrier, popping the heal activates that Lucian passive, which gives you the increased damage on whether you get a heal or a shield, or someone is hard CC'd by one of your teammates around you. Just means you get to take a harder trade at the cost of course that summon as well.
But it's also just to try and keep Caliste and Targamas down, because again, look at where Elyoya is, right? He's just finished his clear, now he can start to get vision, he can start to look for potential plays on towards the bottom side. I don't think he'll do it now. I think it'll be after like his next reset and he starts to clear down towards the bottom side, but the more damage and more pressure you can put onto KC, the better that will slowly become.
Laning phase continuing. Jojo, really good mid lane laning phase play from him this series. I really liked his Ari play versus Silas, got very far ahead in that matchup. Played quite well in the early lane versus with the Akali as well. Right here, 10 CS lead after the first teleports came back in. His early phases have been very good, especially since we've been praising Vladi so much, and he has had an incredible split for himself, protecting towards the back ends of it. Yike might go towards bot side plate, level 4.
Elyoya can turn invulnerable as well. The power of a Naafiri dive makes it so easy. Onto Caliste, going to tank it up for now. Remember again, that button just needs to be pressed, but he does not press it. Targamas puts a big belly into the air and makes it a trade.
It is a good trade, not able to get that invulnerability down, but at the end of the day, Caliste still falls. At the end of the day, Caliste still loses that CS, and the kill went across the Supa.
Really well played by Targamas there, making sure that he could get that CC under turret. Wins the mind game against Yike by being melee range with the Gragas. Very hard to dodge out. You have to predict when the E's going to come through. The wave, importantly here, not actually going to be lost for Caliste. One of the biggest things when a bot lane play happens and the AD carry dies is, do they lose the wave as well? Caliste picks up that cannon wave. Targamas making sure that the next wave didn't hit that turret. It will be a wave slow pushing back out, so there's potential actually of a harder trade coming onto him as he goes back across that lane and away from his turret without flash, but still.
When you look at it, with the 1-for-1, as Supa comes back, pickaxe in hand, with the wave you talked about, means that we're not too far off. The early game's going to chill out a bit. And the crowd ramping up a bit as well. It's okay, you guys can let out your feelings. It's been a really nice night. I think this weekend I was expecting some fantastic series of League of Legends, but so far, both nights have really delivered, and I'm sure tomorrow will as well. Remember, the winner of this goes up against G2 for our first spot at MSI, for our first finalist for Spring. And what a series it'll be. I think G2 would be looking at this series and being like, actually, this is going to be a hard opponent. You know, this is actually going to be a really competitive opponent.
Yeah, not to mention the lower bracket teams, which Dagda mentioned earlier. Wow, this is going to be rough. It's going to be harsh for GX and Heretics in that lower bracket to face off against one of these teams going down towards their matchup.
Good dog.
I mean, MKOI have had a great start to this game, just off the basis of getting control of bot side. They're going to get the dragon. But KC, you don't have level 6 on Yike. This will be tough.
The smite is very low at this point in the game. Elyoya gets chunked a little bit. Casey looking at the
Yike!
Walks in, Bramble smashes, takes it. He's already burning flashlights. He'll die for it with Targamas. Also ready to sacrifice his own life. Defeated Warfare down, but it doesn't stop there with Caliste having no mana and no way out. A double over to Supa. When this bot lane has been carrying, I think KOI are okay with that.
You never should have tried to commit to that as KC. The steal isn't worth it. It's a Chemtech dragon. And now, Yike flashing in has put himself into such a horrible position that the kill goes across to Jojo. Targamas and Caliste trying to help out on the bottom side, which means they fall as well. The one way that MKOI had for trying to play out this game was bot lane getting huge.
Yeah.
Bot lane isn't huge. They are titans of that role.
And if you are going to go for that steal, at least make it a one-man, one-way trip. Don't bring the rest of your team into the equation. Giving up one kill for a dragon, okay, maybe we can talk about the value of that, and that might have been okay. But giving up, suddenly 3 kills towards Supa from this early game, that's disastrous. Lucian has forever been about the 1-2 item spike. You hit that mid lane with your enchant or whoever else, empowering it to jump forwards onto the enemy team. If you're ahead of the game, you feel unbeatable, and if you're behind it, you feel very toothless. MKOI get the lead on that Lucian, and that's now going to be a huge issue going into mid-game for KC.
Caliste cannot contest Supa anymore. If you walk up as this MF, you're just going to get cullinged and immediately have to go back to base. And it just means that now trying to contest on mid-wave becomes impossible. Trying to contest for so many of these objectives becomes really difficult. And even you can see it here as well, like, the wave is about to crash in towards top side. And they're just going to push in the wave, maybe get turret plate, as it looks like Targamas is set up to at least control the area, but I think KC, or MKOI, are just looking for gold.
Level 6 hit for Elyoya as a way to pounce in. One grub already taken, second on the way with a Bramble smash to make it quick. Yike does exactly that. The third up for contention is on a ward, or rather no lack there of ward. That's going to be 3, all in the pocket for KC. And exactly that, KC have also found themselves some grubs. Back-to-back games now, I believe, but hasn't really decided the game.
The more I think about this game now coming through from the early game, going in towards that mid game, talking about, hey, the value of that Lucian going forwards. KC do have the tools to deal with the Lucian jumping forwards if Supa doesn't jump forwards with the right amount of vision. If you jump forward trying to use your power spike, and now we're getting towards the point where with the next few minutes we'll see them trying to jump forwards with that culling. Yeah. KC can throw a Maokai across mid lane. You can throw, potentially, Caliste, not Caliste, saw that earlier today, the Camille off of a side lane, dip into mid lane to try and win that mind game. If Supa's going to jump forwards now, we can pounce on him. KC are not able to contest 2v2 in that mid lane. They must bring someone else in the coming minutes to do that. So watch out to see how KC dip off of side lanes, dip out of that jungle, and try and make sure Supa has less options, because the more we talk about, look, we talked about this an awful lot now. You should know, Supa's really scary.
And we've talked a lot about AD carries in the series, reason being because coming in, you know, Caliste was on that mine for still, while not having as good of a split as Winter, he was still on the mine for, you know, best AD carry of the split. Now, also, probably MVP of the split, we don't know yet, but it's in the discussion of, like, who was the best. Caliste had to be around that 3rd, 4th, 5th mark if people were watching throughout, you know, the course of KC's spring. However, in this series, for sure, if I saw this and had to vote, I'd be like, well, outside of game 1, I think Supa's been the better AD carry by far.
But I also think for Supa that is going to mean a huge amount, because this is also a rivalry between the 2 AD carries that existed from EMEA Masters.
Yeah.
It was Caliste who beat Supa in EMEA Masters finals, who then moved on. So Supa moved on to the LEC first, but since Caliste has joined, Caliste has a title. Supa has not actually been able to match Caliste in a lot of these early laning phases as well. So I think for Supa, being able to kind of kick KC to the curb would mean a lot.
There was a quote from him at some point too about, hang on a second, we do have jungles hanging around the corner here. Just want to be careful because Yike does have that ultimate. Super. Okay, jump forwards.
He's not overcommitting yet. Also, there's a dog by his side. Elyoya's moved in, culling out. Explosive cast from Targamas, and found Alvaro for a bit. Yike doesn't want to make the commitment, especially when Elyoya rears his head and Supa steps on up again. Jojo's just going to pounce and onto Vladi. There's a good fear out. Jojo going to take a heavy chunk, but it is ulti for ulti in the end. That is now down for mid laners.
So, bot side, yeah, always feel a little bit strange when you don't have something like a cleanse against a Maokai. It's going to explode pretty quickly. But yeah, there was a quote from Supa saying, hey, you know, I want to have a finals versus Caliste. I think a lot of people want to see that. Yeah. And a lot of the replies when people post that on Twitter, particularly from the different fan bases, like, well, you know, KC just went to first stand. Is this really that we want to see, you know, Caliste versus Viper or something like that? Fight at the bot side.
I can tell you who let the dogs out as Elyoya goes invulnerable for the time being. Double pierce comes through, and while Nature's Grasp is rolling down the hills, Elyoya is very far away. Yike twisted advance is going to flash eventually. Bullet time lands, and Elyoya has no way to get away. Caliste finally on the board here. As Supa jumps forward into Targamas, he's isolated. Bramble Smash helps out over the wall, and the range is found. Great damage here from the Lucian, and Supa gets number 4 with the help of Alvaro.
The shield can come through though. Supa looking for a little more, but shield to try and step away. Yike managing to get the flash to get a kill on towards Elyoya, but gives his life in return. And again, these are the issues that you face when Supa is this strong with the Essence Reaver already completed.
You still have the barrier through that too, so when you're watching this clip out, yeah, you have to keep that in mind. So Elyoya jumps in, realizes there's more teammates there than they would have liked, and we said, hey, there are tools from Karmine Corp to punish someone diving in a little bit too deeply. And in this case, it's Elyoya. Used that W a little earlier, didn't have it to avoid the Maokai ultimate in this case.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Supa as well, because Targamas was defending Caliste. He couldn't really just go forwards to try and get onto the ulti in MF. Meant that he had to play a little bit safe, so MKOI turn one back around. It'll be second dragon now in their favor. Yike not going to try and get anywhere near this.
Yeah, no flash steal this time.
Yeah. I mean,
he doesn't have the flash to steal this time.
I think there's a lot of regrets. We're talking about it before, but Supa being this far ahead based off the fact that Yike wanted to steal dragon. Maybe you could argue KC shouldn't have committed alongside with him, but one apiece here. It's going to be Hextech Soul. And on the match point for KOI, they are 3,000 gold ahead at 13 minutes into the game. You look between Supa and Misfortune's explosive cast. Found Alvaro, maybe a kill, maybe a pick over to Caliste. The burn might be enough as well, and eventually he gets it. Caliste slowly crawling back in the game, and Targamas starting to find some really good picks here on the Gragas.
Yeah, it's also some overextensions from MKOI, right? Yep. Like you look at the potential dive underneath the tower, well, Yike in position to try and cover. Now we get MKOI trying to establish vision in the spot side once more, and Alvaro now is the one that gets caught. So Yike being in positions to help out his team alongside Targamas to get some much needed goal back in the favor of KC and slow down the pace that MKOI were starting to play at.
It's absolutely key. We did say KC, they have tools to deal with MKOI jumping forwards. They've used them quite well so far. Not
Yike's ult.
Does. Supa does have barrier flash, though, and he's really strong. So I don't think they want to go as far.
Power of Camille to use the Hextech ultimatum to reset aggro, but they're not going to pull it off, and as he walks past, Canna gets the back in the end.
This is what I say, though. You're saying, like, Camille on the bottom side with the TP to try and come into it, but Myrwn just ends up getting that tower on the top half of the map, so he's going to be a fairly tanky boy. 1.4k gold for Myrwn in the grand scheme of things.
0 kill participation between either top laner. Individual 1.5k lead.
It's the use of the TP. So they had like Myrwn pushing in on bot side, collected a big wave. He immediately TP'd up to the top side when Canna was still trying to clear out these waves to collect it. So Myrwn has just been effectively using that TP in better positions to get the CS lead. And now because Canna TP'd to the bottom side, he's now in a position where, well, Myrwn now gets that top tower as well. So it's just been better positioning on Myrwn to collect waves in these early games.
And often having Canna on your team is a bit of a cheat code. He just destroys matchups when he gets ahead in them. And Myrwn, I think his value has not necessarily come out of laning phase in this split. He has fallen behind sometimes in those laning matchups. For him to be ahead in lane and now on a Sion, which will be playing up against a Misfortune that's also 1,000 gold behind, Myrwn has got to feel very, very good about his position in the game. He hasn't had any kill participation just yet, but when he does, he's going to be in a really good spot.
It's, I think for me, more about Canna just being kind of crappy with the whole situation. Let's get a kill on Alvaro, but you kind of want your two items here as
flashes.
Canna.
Didn't want to get lathered down, and now the teleport from Myrwn. Doesn't have his ulti, but he has the position. Nature's Grasp out onto Jojo, who pops the ulti himself. Yike up against the wall. Canna tries to find him, but the Hextech ultimatum is down inside the ground, and Yike who drops first. Now Canna's slowed down. Jojo for the chase, culling out as well. Explosive cast doesn't stop it. But KOI now thinking about if they can go again. Elyoya also. Let's not forget that this dog is out to bite.
You see there, though, MKOI, they do get the kill on towards Yike, because I don't think that was the target that KC should have gone for, but it's the after fact where they are struggling to try and chase down KC even when they're low. Kind of shows you where they're at with Targamas.
It's okay, he's a Gragas, he gets poked out a little bit though, and it means for KOI that this Herald is just going to be taken like that. I didn't see Canna's ulti. It looked like he ultied Jojo mid-movement of the Happy Funland circle. Yeah.
Between worlds, yes.
Yeah. So while he was at Disney, I have to ask myself, what happened to Canna's ulti?
Yeah, I think it was, as you said. I think he tried to use it and just ended up popping around.
Yeah, good eyes there, Jake. It was.
I was just like, where did it go?
Yeah, basically because when you're traveling, like, you know, hang on a second, Super Jump, that's dangerous.
Bullet time, and he ran into it, almost dies, but he lives for now. Bullet time ain't going to do too much apart from send Super backwards. Heal burnt from Alvaro.
Still kept that barrier. Good discipline on that summoner. Alvaro uses his heal instead. Just a quick hang on. Jojo
flashes away, but Yike is going to be able to follow this with a Bramble Smash. He's caught out, and Jojo can't be making that mistake in a game. 4 versus KC. Shut down, and Caliste from 1,200 gold down is now back in the game.
Yeah, Caliste, you know, use that ultimate under the mid lane turret. Maybe Jojo thought, okay, no, bullet time. This is a time for me to play around mid lane, but goes way too far. And Yike in the right position this time to punish. Still going to be a Herald put down into the mid lane. Super still very, very strong despite Caliste catching up in terms of gold. That Lucian getting some gold off the mid lane turret.
Small mistakes again from MKOI, but still, mid lane tower taken. Control over this area now as well as Dragon is about to spawn. Potential for MKOI to start to move in towards that bottom side and punish Canna, who's a little overextended, but good defense from KC and making sure that they can breach that gap, but still have to be pretty careful here.
Force doing work now though. Myrwn is taking a heavy chunk, and it looks like Grass is also building up in its own right as KOI continue to hover. 15 seconds for that spawn. 3rd dragon of the game. KOI start building up this soul here. Seems to be like the obvious choice, as moving in and controlling vision right now is easy to say.
Unintended consequence, I think, of that kill onto Jojo. Trading flash for flash with Aurora means you no longer have a flash on the Maokai to deal with the Lucian. That could be quite impactful here. Jojo doesn't have his, of course, but, you know, he's an Aurora, can throw that all forwards to be a bit more happy about that. Next fight, KC need to find a way to deal with this Lucian.
Also, Myrwn, he ended up taking a bit of a rough trade against Canna on that bottom side, but now in a good spot with his health bar, good mana, and Dragon has been starting. Canna now starting to move up from river, or from bot side.
Lift sitting on the same components as Super right now, so 80 carries all intents purposes even as Nature's Grasp comes out. Myrwn in the middle though, has to flash away. Great ulti from Jojo, but again, Yike finds his number. Jojo runs into the middle of the whole KC squad. Now Canna has a chance, has an angle, has an ultimatum. The bullet time lines them dry. Making it rain is Caliste. He's back in the game.
It's a swing and a miss from MKOI, and KC happy to catch that one, immediately turning it back around and finding the success they needed.
KC using that ultimate from Camille to really set up well from Misfortune. Didn't think it was going to be a fight about the Misfortune. I thought it would be about the Lucian instead, but call me a liar, MKOI could not get Super enough into that fight. It was all about the Camille and the Misfortune.
And in a game that's so important, Jojo started to crumble a little bit here with his setup.
Well, the problem is Myrwn doesn't hit with the ultimate. Jojo is then stuck because he's been jumped on by Yike. He dies regardless of where he goes. And it's just a case of, hey, maybe I can regroup, but MKOI not setting themselves up for success. That led a grasp as well. Just the end, holding everyone from MKOI into the bullet time. And here you can see again, we highlighted in draft, difficulties with engaging, mean that KC can play around it. They avoid the first punch, an immediate haymaker after.
I think Jojo got a little bit flustered. He used his E while his ultimate was still up, and the backswing from that E kind of blasted him back into the ultimate and put him over to the side of it. I think the Maokai might have done the same thing, actually. But Jojo not able to get the positioning right there. And you're absolutely right, that is an important loss. Team fight in this game. This was a huge lead for MKOI. This game should have been about the Lucian. The Lucian is now down. Caliste is ahead in the AD carry matchup.
Love to see the reaction right now from you know, individual co-streamers of Spain and France.
It is. It's also just difficult for MKOI to try and play around this Lucian, because when you thought about Lucian being his most successful in the AD carry role, it was, hey, look, I have a Maokai that is paired with me, or a Hwei that is paired with me, that is going to lock you down in the mid lane. I'm going to culling, and I'm going to make sure you die, and we immediately win out on the fight. Because someone has to go back to base, or whatever that form looks like.
Yep.
when you don't have that setup here for MKOI, the ability to actually try and set up Supa for success becomes so much more difficult. And you can see it, KC just part the Red Sea as MKOI try and look for the play. And now KC knowing again, hey, we've got pushing everywhere. MKOI are nowhere nearby, are immediately going to take the objective. TP from Myrwn to the midway, but is he too late?
6K, moving down to 5. Teleport in response. Canna's going to come a little bit late. Elyoya sits from over the wall, but they're committing to this. KC want to flip it, and Nature's Grass lining down. Myrwn in front, blocks a lot of it. Explosive cast from Targa, but it goes down. The Artican into the ground as you see Jojo plays with them for a bit, but he's just going to drop. Myrwn in the front line, and as tanky as he wants to be is already. Caliste is cleaning up again. Following his Canna, he's got a target onto the dog. Alvaro and Elyoya running for their dear life, while Caliste is absorbing all the money.
The alley-oop onto Supa is 10 out of 10. There was no counterplay for the Lucian. Got knocked into the fight by the cask. Maybe should have flashed that one, but you just didn't understand how much damage was coming through. The Lucian, once again, not able to determine the fight. Watch this cask. Look how unplayable it was after Supa got hit by that first bit of CC. Cask, massive damage from the bullet time after Supa out of the play.
And just great timing from Canna as well. Delayed his TP so then he could actually be behind MKOI as they went to try and contest the objective. So even when you try and look for this big engage, it's perfect.
I'll translate for you guys. Hell yeah! We might be going on game 5. Nice one, Vladi, I agree. And KOI, I mean, sent miserably back after such a promising early game in VOD. The fact that Caliste is now 1,700 gold up, it really shows you not only the improvement Targamas has shown me this year, but the setup and the cleanliness of their CC has just laid it down like this guy's on point guard.
But I think it just does highlight to me how important engage is. Because if Sion was Orm, okay, cool, you're good to go. Supa gets to play the game, you get set up, you get the follow-up, but it's just not there.
It's something you said in draft, we talked about it. The engage in this comp, it's not as easy to play. Yeah. KOI's comp is not as easy to play, and you're seeing all the tools. Look, even Canna has a way in. Elyoya has to pay respect, gets over the wall, but they keep losing zones because KC always have a way to snap them down.
Yike forced into that bot side, going towards the Grom. Doesn't have to blow the flash there. In these kind of games, something like the Naafiri feels like it's never getting the split fight which the Naafiri wants. When I look at a Naafiri, even if they are ahead in gold and they have that 2 kills, normally want them to chase down and all into one target. KC are clumping really, really well. I feel like Yike, much like the Pantheon game, struggling to really find his first target in a couple of these fights. We know exactly how good he can be. Look at the Trundle game, for instance, but this Naafiri struggling to make the impact we want to see from him. Myrwn's caught in the box.
Myrwn's in a lot of trouble. The whole team is here. KC brought the Avengers. I don't know how you say that in Spanish, but it's got to be a hard word to hear when 5 members are running into your turret.
It started with a roar, but it's starting to look like a bit of a whimper for MKOI in game number 4. Game number 5 still there for them, but MKOI now trying desperately to push waves off their towers, look to trade for what is more than likely going to be an inhibitor turret on the bottom side, picked up by Canna.
Alvaro going to try and stop rotation back into mid lane. Canna very happy to just keep hitting that bot side turret. MKOI, if you got it, hang on, they find a Caliste.
They do indeed find Caliste by himself. Big shutdown over to Supa. They're going to open up mid with that as well, potentially. Teleport behind them. Yike is also there, but Canna got bot side turret. Supa has to flash away from Vladi, who burnt his own. Dragon
was being started by Yike, but now he's had to kind of run for the hills as MKOI moved through. That TP is a little far forward.
Okay, but Canna's not there yet. He's got to back away. He has no TP. Maybe an opportunity for KOI to find something back. Vladi's been targeted and found with the culling out as well. He's shut down. KOI keep doing this. They just keep finding plays out of thin air.
They're finding the picks that they need. I thought maybe they'd have to try and look for some miracle TP plays with wards, but KC just walking into them. Now
Jojo's angle as well. Yike went in blind, but this time they've got numbers on their side. Nature's Grass will give him a way to escape, as well with a phase rush, but teleport now burn. Khan's going to try the unthinkable, while Dragon, number 2 for KOI, evens the stead.
Both teams in the lead up to this Dragon were really trying to play smoke and mirrors, and I feel like KC fell a little bit slow behind that. They couldn't find their play before MKOI pulled the trigger. Stars kind of still in the enemy jungle. I'm not exactly sure what he can find. It's hard to really play as the Camille onto the Naafiri. You can just press W on your ultimate.
Game's not secured for a game 5. That's the craziest thing about this.
I think KC, though, have an advantage to try and play through with the TP. So you can already see Canna setting up on this bottom side. If the rest of KC just continue to put pressure on towards Baron, it becomes this really difficult game to try and play. At this stage, that Canna can just end the game solo and also could kill Jojo. So you kind of need 2 people down on that bottom side, but you just don't have that luxury with that TP now gone. And you can even see like the pink ward set up there from Canna is just ensuring that nobody knows he's here. And Jojo, I think he's about to die.
That flash also up in 5 seconds. Gate going to be used. Canna gets out. Sees that the whole of KOI coming to defend. A quick think.
But this should be the go button for KC. Clear out the vision that's around Baron. Try and pull MKOI back in towards this position once again. Just continuously play off of this TP advantage. Elyoya was spot on the bottom side, but at least the Scuttle Crab and the ward at the back of the Baron pit, making sure MKOI are aware that KC haven't started this up.
I think the top lane matchup flipping around into Canna's favor is so crucial for that. Myrwn going towards the Titanic Hydra build, wanting in a little bit extra quick wave clear. Of course, gets the HP scaling from the Titanic Hydra as well, which is really, really good when you've got the Soul Furnace stacking up to over 1,000 stacks. But Myrwn, not exactly controlling the areas of the game as you'd like to. Killed the last time he tried to pass shot.
Oh, Elyoya goes invulnerable though. The pain is there as the ulti sent out Targamas. Once in, there's a spiraling despair and a good launch into Myrwn as well with the body slam. He's stuck in place, he's dead. Caliste picks up the kill, and I was worried about this guy being too tanky. He ain't tanky at all versus KC.
Especially not versus the Hwei. The Hwei does a hell of a lot of damage, and Myrwn has precious little magic resist. Goes in, quickly taken down, and MKOI must retake the Baron pit.
Base checking, Elyoya can do that. Caliste walks forward first. Is it a mistake though? The dog sent out. It'll be merely that. KC have started off the Baron. It's going to start going down quick with no top laner and no TP.
They kind of need Vladi to do it quick though. He's got the percentage health, and MKOI starting to move back in towards the pit.
Zone controls there. Elyoya getting sent away by Targamas. Jojo doing the same. Targamas might have to sacrifice his life. He's going to die first. Cullen comes out as well. Baron now finally down. There's a flash on top of Supa. This 80 carries once so fast. It's nothing more. Elyoya will jump in. KC is taking so much damage from the dog, but Elyoya will finally disappear. A shutdown, yes, but Baron over to 3. KC will walk away.
MKOI are grasping at straws, trying desperately to get any of these Baron buffs off of KC, but the setup for KC is just so good. Canna being able to lock down Supa, set up for the rest of Karmine Corp to wipe them off the field. Mid tower, top tower soon to fall.
Serious credit to KC. After everything which went against them in the early game in bot lane, when MKOI started getting those picks in the mid game again, they found ways back into the game. They have the Baron in hand, and they may be poised now to push us to a game 5 if they can capitalize on this Baron buff. This is after the front line has already been deleted from Movistar KOI. Makes this much harder. Yike does win the mind game with Targamas this time in terms of the belly slam to at least get him off the table, but that doesn't make it any easier to try and walk forward. Supa uses his E. It doesn't have to escape the Camille.
But again, this is the lockdown. It's Canna locking down for the bullet time. Sets up then for Caliste to be able to deal the damage he needs to the Supa. He falls, and then KC just chase members down. Now with Baron and a minute, well, just over a minute until the next Dragon. KC can just continue to push in towards the base, fall back to Dragon if they want, but with the range that KC have, honestly, the siege is kind of disgusting.
True. The dive threat is always there as well. Their tanky members are so much tankier. As we continue this discussion, there's even enough help on Canna here as moving up mid. Baron in hand, 4k gold lead, breaking down the base. Seems to be the necessity with the last minute 20 of this Baron, while Jojo's just getting what he can in the side lane.
Feels like one of the first times I've seen, well, I've been talking about Jojo for the last while. We've talked a lot about Supa and how he's failed to impact the fights, even from so far ahead of the game. The setup from KC and the lockdown has been very impactful. Jojo also struggling to impact the game the way he would have liked to on that shotgun bunny in the mid lane.
Approaching the turret for now. KOI back away. Baron's just going to do the damage. Walk him out. Now the base is in tatters as KC used that pressure to just walk across inside and look for yet another turret.
Jojo's reset, there's some decent poke that's gone on to KC, but I don't really think it's enough to write home about as Cask sends them flying.
Myrwn does a mini ulti to make sure he's not one of them, but now his ulti's down for the engage that we talked about. KOI doesn't have too much to go on in now. They're going to play defense. Nature's Grass sends them in a game 4 to lead us to the finale as KOI lose their turret. It's getting closer. It's getting closer and closer, but KC haven't finished the job yet. The minion wave.
But how do you engage? How do you actually close the distance onto KC? Canna's in mid, collecting the wave, and MKOI are kind of just staring at KC, going like, "Could you come over here? Like, if you could get over here so we can fight, that would be great."
I don't think it's very convincing in this game. I don't think it's very convincing at all.
Sion ulti again, I guess.
Casey, if they played the older brother in there, keeping the hand on the head of the little brother, keeping him away arm's length. They have no obligation to walk into MKOI, and they play very, very well around the openings that MKOI have given. When they get a bit frustrated, jump forwards and leave themselves open.
I reckon Yike is now saying worth that dragon steal. So, in all seriousness, third one goes down. It does feel like KOI want to fight this. Jojo flashes over the wall. He found two. Bullet time, though, lays him thin. He'll find his end. Yike, though, almost followed through. Canna jumps in, and Supa's the next target. They're burning, and they're dropping. Myrwn a tank. He's not. Nate just grabbed a pause, and before this game meets its untimely end and goes to a game 5, we got to figure this out.
And it was Jojo that ended up pausing it, I believe. And look, let's be honest, you see the interaction between the Hex Gate. I would imagine that has something to do with that. Obviously, that's speculation right now. We'll give you more actual information when it comes through.
We are gathering information.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it feels a little bit like Salt has met Wound in this last fight. MKOI tried everything. Jojo flashing over the wall to try and set things up, but Casey just too far ahead. And again, you're not really touching Caliste in the back line. He's just able to open with the bullet time every time. Canna's got that lockdown. There's just too many factors at play here for MKOI to be able to overcome it, even when they find some decent angles like this one.
As we said, we've said so many times in the LEC, like the ease of execution of comps matters so much. And as you get late into Fearless, a lot of comps get a little bit wishy-washy because I think people get into comfort, people get into like, you know, what can we actually play here and how does it synergize together? And those two don't always come in hand, right?
Well, the problem now is we have to go to a game 5.
Yeah.
So you've got to try and find this once more, find ways of easily being able to play the game. And I mean, a ton of your tanks are taken out. You've got like things like the Lily and stuff that can still be played as like carry junglers or even the Ivern and stuff. But your mid lane, you're starting to go right the way down the pool. AD carries, Caitlyn probably becomes very, very high priority here, because you imagine like you're still going to get your Azir ban, you're still going to get your Gwen ban. There's still going to be a lot of these picks that are still at the forefront and just will never make it to the table.
Wouldn't surprise me if Lulu's a priority ban to open up some of those hyper carries now that a lot of the engaged support's gone through. Of course, that's if KC capitalize. We expect they will at this point.
I mean, I look at Elyoya on this pause. That dog is dead. Like, there's a TP also being channeled currently by Vladi. And that's going to top the top ward that was placed in an open place. This is the end, yeah. And so it's just about, again, how KC end from here, as in how quickly they can end. It's a very strange pause, because obviously when something goes wrong, like you want to get it sorted as soon as possible. So we are investigating, and I'm being told that there's still an update waited for, but it was KOI who asked for the pause.
And I'm going to guess it's when Yike hexgated over, you had Yoya channel the Naafiri ultimate onto the person just before they went through the Hexgate. So you normally expect the Naafiri to follow anyone, basically. It's not like
Leona's Zenith Blade, you know?
It's a little bit like that. When you target someone and then they teleport away, what happens? And basically Yoya ends up like basically being plopped in the middle of the river, which is not what you expect to be, because it's halfway through the Hexgate being channeled. I'd imagine that's what it is. But hey, we'll look through that quickly and see.
Yeah, we'll get an official, I guess, bug report. But what we are waiting, I mean, people getting their money's worth today. I tell you what, came for one best of 5, they got a best of 5.
And you didn't even get any popcorn.
We'll go to the lobby after this, get some popcorn, I think.
It's been a great weekend so far. We've still got a day left.
I mean, even G2 Fnatic yesterday was very entertaining.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that this is just a teaser of the rest of playoffs, because this is just the top 4 teams, but we're still more than likely going to see some combination of these teams playing off against each other as well in the lower bracket. Also tomorrow, with G2 still waiting for them, then you still have the finals. Like, it feels like we have been gifted in the LEC this split.
Yeah, for sure. It's been one of the best LEC splits which I can remember throughout from beginning to end. You know, I'm sure we've had occasional more hype games and more hype series, but as an overall unit of play, every single LEC team has given me reason to watch, and particularly when we get towards the top end, where we've had games taken off of them by different teams. We don't just have one out-and-out team smashing people, which means it's kind of a foregone conclusion. It means I'm very much being engaged by pretty much every series.
Yeah, and I think the fact, again, that coming into a Game 5, you've got to dig very, very deep now, I think is going to put a lot of pressure on towards MKOI, because it felt like coming into this, there was like some ideas of where they want to take the draft, but definitely not fully aware of how they want to try and set up like combinations in their draft. Whereas when you look across as KC, it's, hey, we've got like the Camille MF combo. That is a strong combo. We've got the Maokai as well. Strong combo.
And as saying that, we're about to get back into game as well. Now, I'm not sure what the bug is. I'm going to wait for an update. Obviously, the AD as well. We'll find out what that is so we can give you an update as to why we pause at the end of the game. But Vladi just TP'd to top. By the way, Elyoya got away. Vladi is low. Alvaro doing damage, but as he flashes away, we waited a little bit to sort out the bug, but now we know we get our rightful conclusion. France ignites, and from the brink of looking like a 3-1, KC will make it all to 5.